Never waste your tears on Drew Kane, because Tracy already rolled him straight out of the storyline. Security at the Quartermain estate apparently rivals Port Charles police in efficiency. That is, none whatsoever. How else could one explain uninvited wanderers breezing past the gate as if it were a revolving door? Of course, realism has never been General Hospital's strongest suit, but the lack of logic still manages to amuse. What did work, beautifully in fact, were the flashbacks. Steve Burton and Jane Elliott delivered powerhouse performances that carried the weight of Monica's legacy with precision and grace. The moment Tracy briskly rolled Drew out of the chapel was a scene-stealer, a mix of comic relief and poetic justice. One half expected her to wheel him directly into traffic and solve Port Charles' Drew problem once and for all. Alas, no such luck. Instead, viewers were left to endure his continued existence, further proof that the writers squandered the shooting storyline by neither killing him off nor reshaping his character in any meaningful way. The memorial episode itself, however, was near perfection. From the carefully chosen flashbacks to the emotional resonance of the performances, it was a week-long reminder of why the show remains compelling at its best. The sight of both Tracy and Jason on the Quartermain staircase, the staircase built for Monica herself, was a fitting tribute. That image alone carried more weight than Drew's endless posturing could ever muster. And then there was Jason. For once, the stone-faced enforcer was allowed to feel. Steve Burton's portrayal revealed pain and vulnerability rarely seen in a character so often locked in stoicism. His performance deserves recognition. Yes, even Emmy consideration, for embodying the loss of Monica while hinting at deeper turmoil that could come if Jason's long-buried memories were to resurface. Watching him navigate that inner conflict would be far more rewarding than watching Drew shuffle around as an afterthought. Both Burton and Elliott delivered masterclasses in emotional acting this week, honoring not only Monica, but also Leslie Charleson, whose absence loomed over every frame. It was the kind of memorial arc daytime dramas once specialized in, rich, reverent, and performed with an honesty that transcended soap opera artifice. Think back to the John Black/Drake Hogestyn Memorial. Sprawling, emotional, unforgettable. This week's tribute carried that same gravitas, reminding viewers that when GH commits to honoring its history, it can still bring an audience to tears. The verdict? An extraordinary farewell for Monica, marred only by the inexplicable persistence of Drew Kane. Sonny Corinthos didn't save Jason, he groomed him. And yes, it's time we admit it. Jason Quartermain's accident remains one of General Hospital's most disturbing and transformative storylines. Watching it unfold decades later is still jarring. The once polished golden boy reduced to rage, lashing out at his family, shattering his room, and terrifying Keisha in the gym. The Quartermain's suffocating expectations collided head-on with Jason's fractured identity, setting the stage for one of daytime television's greatest metamorphoses. The family's behavior was nothing short of catastrophic. Ned once again shielded AJ from accountability, a recurring indulgence that now reads like a clinical case study in affluenza. AJ was never forced to confront his destructive behavior, and Jason, watching his family protect liars and criminals while vilifying those who were honest, drew the only conclusion possible: the Quartermain's valued reputation above truth. Monica, at least, had the courage to meet him with honesty. Alan, meanwhile, perfected the art of chasing Jason away through insults and force, practically gift-wrapping his son for Sonny Corinthos. And here lies the uncomfortable truth. Sonny groomed an angry, brain-damaged young man into his perfect enforcer. Jason wasn't just loyal. He was broken, volatile, and primed for exploitation. Comparing this to the infamous Luke and Laura storyline, it's clear how daytime television once romanticized dynamics that, in retrospect, are deeply unsettling. Sonny had already demonstrated his predatory tendencies with Karen, manipulating her into drugs and stripping. With Jason, the calculation was subtler, but no less exploitative. Yet the story is not so simple. As victimhood. Jason had agency. Even rewatching those early years, it's obvious he made choices, often terrible ones, Sonny occasionally suggested the business wasn't right for him, but Jason, fueled by anger and an appetite for self-destruction, dove in head first. He taught himself gunplay, embraced the violence, and became precisely the weapon Sonny needed. The grooming may have opened the door, but Jason walked through it willingly. What makes the storyline so remarkable is not the morality play, but the character turn it produced. Jason Quartermaine, with his feathered hair and bland perfection, was a snooze. Jason Morgan, stripped of memory and civility, was vibrant, unpredictable, and layered. It remains one of daytime's most successful reinventions, a twist so compelling that it kept the character alive on the canvas for nearly 3 decades. Without the accident, Jason would have faded long ago. Speculation about reversing Jason's condition resurfaces every few years, but the idea collapses under both science and narrative weight. His frontal lobe damage destroyed those neural pathways. The memories no longer exist. Resurrecting them would reduce the storyline to medical nonsense, on par with weather machines and vampire cults. Daytime indulgences better left in the past. Besides, Jason Quartermaine was dull. Jason Morgan is mythic. Why undo one of soap opera's rare strokes of brilliance just to watch him return to form as Port Charles's most attractive bore? The true tragedy is what the Quartermaines never learned. Their obsession with image ensured they lost Jason long before Sonny claimed him. Even without the mob, they would have pushed him away with their own selfishness and inability to grow. And Jason, for all his flaws, found in Sonny what he never found at home: space to be who he was without suffocation or judgment. That space may have been toxic, but it was real. And for Jason Morgan, that was enough. Never get attached to a General Hospital character, because odds are they'll disappear without a goodbye. General Hospital has a long, proud tradition of characters vanishing into thin air, as if Port Charles doubles as a Bermuda Triangle. Some exits are deliberate, others lazy, and a select few are simply insulting. What remains is a graveyard of unfinished stories and wasted talent. Start with Dr. Lainey Winters, a psychiatrist who should be indispensable, especially with the town's growing roster of unhinged residents. Instead, she evaporated without explanation, depriving Port Charles of one of its rare voices of reason. Then there's Scott Baldwin, a character with decades of history and a fan base that has earned him a proper send-off. Instead, he was whisked away with the subtlety of an unpaid intern cleaning out a desk. Kin Shriner deserves a tribute, not a disappearing act. The same fate befell Serena Baldwin, Scott's daughter, who has also been written into oblivion. Taggart's absence is perhaps the most egregious. He was established as Trina's rock, a steady presence during her formative years, only for the writers to shove him aside the moment Curtis needed a child. The last glimpse of him, sobbing in an elevator, remains one of the show's cruelest loose ends. Apparently, fatherhood in Port Charles is negotiable, depending on the week's script. Some characters were dispatched with flimsy excuses. Phyllis, once central to Sonny's Nixon Falls saga, was dismissed in a passing line about returning to her hometown. Why wasn't she the first to notice Sonny unraveling when he inevitably went off his medication again? Missed opportunity, party of one. Others were victims of sheer neglect. Valerie Spencer, who once carried the weight of an affair with Dante, was treated like a placeholder and then vanished, never to be mentioned again, even after Lulu's coma. Meanwhile, Brad Cooper, once half of one of the show's best odd couple friendships with Britt, was benched entirely just as the Britch herself resurfaced. Even supporting characters like Felix, Deanna, and the other nurses only seemed to materialize for the nurses' ball before being shoved back into storage. Coleman, a fan-favorite bar owner with endless potential, also disappeared, another casualty of short-sighted writing. And then there's TJ Ashford, the show's most baffling example of narrative neglect. His rise from illiteracy to becoming a doctor was a rich arc waiting to be mined. Instead, he was Judy Winslow, vanished without explanation. Even more insulting is the way his disappearance barely registered with Molly, Jordan, or anyone else supposedly close to him. Years of character development, erased with the stroke of a pen. To be fair, a few characters did receive legitimate exits. Melissa Bedford was carted off to prison after a mercy-killing spree, which at least qualifies as closure. Still, far too many others, Skye Quartermaine, Kevin Collins, sporadically, Yuri, Claudette, Max and Milo, Sly Eckert, were left dangling like unfinished sentences. This pattern is more than sloppy, it's disrespectful. Long-term fans deserve better than seeing their favorite characters tossed into narrative black holes. Actors like Kin Shriner and Rael Andrews built legacies that deserve acknowledgement, not erasure. In a show that thrives on resurrection and reinvention, General Hospital's writers might consider that sometimes the most shocking twist isn't a return from the dead. It's the simple courtesy of continuity. Michael Corinthos was never beloved, and here's why fans were actually relieved when he fell into that coma. Soap opera history has always been rewritten more aggressively than the U.S. Constitution, but one myth deserves particular scrutiny: the idea that Dylan Cash's Michael Corinthos was universally adored. Supposedly, this cherubic redhead single-handedly carried General Hospital through its golden triangle era of Sonny, Carly, and Jason. Reality, however, is far less sentimental. Yes, Cash was an undeniably skilled child actor. He had natural timing, could shift from adorable to tragic on cue, and held his own opposite veterans. Like Kimberly McCulloch's Robin. In the 1980s, he wasn't just serviceable, he could act. There's no denying he was capable of delivering heavy material well beyond his years, and many co-stars described working with him as a pleasure. But to claim the show revolved around him for a decade is nothing short of delusional. Cash was on contract for only 3 years and appeared for about 6. That's a respectable run, not an era-defining dynasty. The truth is simpler. His Michael was overexposed, written with disturbingly adult storylines, and often used as a plot device to prop up Carly and Sonny's endless chaos. Any child would have looked like a spawn of Satan under those conditions. The fan response at the time was brutal. Message boards, chat rooms, and even casual conversations branded him Chucky, the demonic doll of horror fame. The nickname stuck because, frankly, Child Michael was written as a pint-sized mobster in training. Ordering hits on classmates and being implicated in AJ's death, yes, he once appeared to smother his father with a pillow, did not exactly endear him to viewers. No amount of precocious smirking could save a storyline that painted a grade schooler as Port Charles's next crime boss. Of course, defenders argue that criticism of Cash blurred uncomfortably between the actor and the role. They're right. No child deserves personal vitriol. The problem was never Cash himself, but the writing that shoved him into sinister, melodramatic plots while giving him far too much screen time. The audience backlash was inevitable, and by the time Michael was sorest, many viewers cheered, as though they'd been freed from babysitting duty. Subsequent actors only highlighted the divide. Drew Garrett brought fire and edge, making Michael tolerable, if not compelling. Chad Duell's tenure swung wildly between sympathetic and grating. Today, Rory Gibson's Michael benefits from being brooding, attractive, and, crucially, written as an actual adult, rather than a miniature gangster. Cash's legacy, then, is complicated. He was a talented child performer saddled with impossible material. For some, he was the beating heart of the Carson era. For others, he was the grating embodiment of everything wrong with that storyline. To this day, fans still divide themselves into two camps: those who saw him as an infectious screen stealer, and those who remember nothing but the creepy echoes of a red-headed Chucky doll with mob connections. One thing is certain: whether beloved or despised, Dylan Cash's Michael is unforgettable. And in the merciless world of daytime television, that's more than most child actors can claim. Never think longevity equals respect. Tracy's survival has become the show's most wasted asset. Tracy Quartermaine is now staring directly into the abyss of her own mortality, whether she admits it or not. The woman has buried practically everyone who ever mattered: Edward, Lila, Alan, Luke, and now Monica. At some point, even the most stubborn Titan has to glance in the mirror and wonder if the Reaper has her on speed dial. And yet, Tracy's survival as the last great Quartermain relic ought to come with some evolution. One might expect her sharp edges to soften into something closer to the elegance of Edward and Lila. After all, the last of the line status is a heavy crown. The writers once flirted with this idea back in 2016 when a brain tumor scare briefly cracked her armor, but that was a passing moment. Now she truly stands alone in her generation, unless we're counting the perpetually off-screen Celia, who may as well be living in Narnia. Would this be an ideal time to explore Tracy's vulnerability, to dig into what it means to outlive not just her enemies, but her family? Absolutely. Will the show bother? Of course not. The far more likely storyline involves her circling Erica Slezak's new character and presiding over Monica's will, like the family's iron-fisted executor. For those newer to Port Charles lore, let's clear up a common misconception. Tracy did not steal Luke from Laura. By the time Tracy and Luke found their unlikely love story, the legendary Luke and Laura romance was long dead. She didn't swoop in as the villainess to snatch a husband. She came along after the curtain had already fallen. So here stands Tracy, widowed, orphaned, and siblingless, the last grand dame of a dynasty. If the writers had any real sense of dramatic opportunity, they'd use this moment to let her confront what it means to be both survivor and mourner. But given the show's track record, don't hold your breath. The so-called last Cassadine heir has more screen time as a bank account than as a child. Ace Cassadine Prince, the phantom child of Port Charles, has apparently been sentenced to that most dreaded soap opera purgatory, the off-screen attic. The boy should be toddling into preschool, or with Saurus rules, battling for student council by now. Instead, he exists only in whispered references to Cassadine inheritance and the occasional reminder that Alexis is supposedly managing his fortune. It's a fascinating legacy, heir to a crumbling dynasty, yet treated with less visibility than a decorative fern in the Quartermain living room. If the show has no immediate plans to resurrect Nicholas or Spencer, one might expect Laura, the actual guardian, to be allowed a scene or two acknowledging the child under her roof. But no. Laura's mayoral duties apparently consume her every waking breath, and Kevin's mysterious absence has only deepened Ace's invisibility. When the parents disappear, so does the baby, it seems. The last time Ace was glimpsed, he was shuffled off to the Quartermain compound, otherwise known as the Home for Forgotten Children. One can only imagine him wandering the same nursery where Willow and Drew once put on a live, family-friendly performance, proving that the security cameras in that mansion truly capture everything except the kids who supposedly live there. The excuses are predictable. Babies and toddlers are notoriously difficult to film, and production rules make it easier to hide them until they've aged into someone who can memorize a line and hold a juice box. Fine, but invisibility has narrative consequences, especially for the supposed last Cassadine. If the writers refuse to acknowledge him, Ace becomes nothing more than a bank account with a trust fund. It's almost comical that fans care more about Alexis's guardianship of Cassadine money than about Ace himself, because at least the money still gets dialogue. A recast Nicholas, a present Kevin, and a storyline that doesn't involve Laura vanishing into City Hall could easily change that. Until then, Ace is just another Port Charles child lost in the ether, waiting for the day he returns inexplicably the same age as Wiley and James, ready to cause chaos, cash his inheritance, or both. Jason Morgan was never supposed to be this close to Tracy Quartermain, so why are we pretending he always was? Jason Morgan, the eternal enigma of Port Charles, suddenly found himself front and center in Monica's death storyline, a placement that raised more than a few eyebrows. For decades, Jason has been the black sheep of the Quartermain dynasty, the prodigal son who never quite unpacked his bags at the family mansion. Yet lately, the show seems determined to dust off his Quartermain roots and shove him back into the fold. The result? A Jason who actually feels, dare we say, human. The writers made their intentions clear with a beautifully orchestrated Friday cliffhanger, Jason standing on the staircase, whispering, "I love you, Mom," to Monica's memory, followed by a perfectly chosen vintage of Monica, Alan, Emily, and the other ghosts of Quartermain past. It was the kind of sentimental payoff fans have been begging for, and this time, the show delivered. Of course, the more curious subplot here is Jason's newfound alliance with Tracy Quartermaine. Once upon a time, these two barely tolerated each other. Tracy never considered him family, and Jason had little use for her brand of ruthless pragmatism. Now, suddenly, they're bound by mutual respect, even a kind of kinship. While much of this thawing happened in recent years, Tracy's moments of surprising vulnerability, particularly when she urged Jason to finally choose his family, shifted the dynamic. It's an unlikely bond, but one that works astonishingly well. The timing is no accident. With Jason's personal life in upheaval and his ties to Sonny weakened, the Quartermaines have become his anchor. Moving back into the mansion to stabilize Danny, Rocco, and Scout gave him no choice but to lean on his family. Tracy, of all people, became both sparring partner and unexpected ally. This evolution marks a striking new phase for Jason, no longer the mob enforcer orbiting Sonny and Carly, but a Quartermaine in his own right. And, given his pre-accident history as the family's golden boy, the arc feels more like restoration than reinvention. Even Tracy at his side makes sense when one remembers that, beneath the barbs and insults, she has always valued strength, loyalty, and, ironically, family. For once, the writers deserve credit for embracing Jason's full history instead of burying it. Pairing him with Tracy ensures that Monica's farewell is more than just a montage. It's a reclamation of Jason's roots. And if this signals more storylines where Jason stands shoulder to shoulder with Ned, Brooklyn, and the rest of the Quartermaine clan, then perhaps the show has finally remembered its own legacy. The General Hospital scoop for Monday, September 29th hints Willow Tate will meet Nathan West. Also coming up, Nina Reeves will have shocking news for Liesl Obrecht and Britt Westbourne. Plus, Felicia Scorpio will have some advice for Damian Spinelli, and Tracy Quartermaine will grill the trespasser. GH spoilers tease Tracy will want to know why Veronica Baird is lingering around the Quartermaine crypt. "Why don't you tell me why you're really here?" she demands in the GH sneak peek. But who is Veronica, and how is she connected to the Quartermaine family? Over with Spinelli, who will be concerned about how James West will take the news about Nathan. "James has a right to know that his father is alive," Felicia will tell Spinelli, who will roll his eyes. Meanwhile, Nina will tell Liesl and Britt that Nathan is in the land of the living. She'll also advise them to stop their bickering and call a truce. "You're gonna need each other to get through this," a choked-up Nina will tell them. But can she get through to them? Other GH spoilers tease Ava Jerome will torment a captive Rick Lansing. Plus, Michael Corinthos and Jacinda Bracken will go over their alibi, and Anna Devane will learn about a surprising turn of events. Finally, Willow will take a wander into Nathan's hospital room, and she'll introduce herself. "I'm Willow Tate, your niece," she'll tell him. Longtime viewers know that Nathan is Nina's biological cousin. However, the two of them were raised as brother and sister. So, is Willow going to ingratiate herself with her uncle to get him on her side? In any case, GH spoilers indicate Nathan will be happy for Nina. But soon enough, he'll learn of the conflict between the mother and daughter. So, will he encourage the mother and daughter to make peace? At any rate, it looks like a great episode is coming up. Keep reading The Soap Scoop for more General Hospital spoilers and news, and make sure you join our free GH Facebook group. General Hospital spoilers for September 29th, October 3rd. Tease the aftermath of the unexpected moments from Monica's funeral. Michael broke the news of Monica's death to Carly and Sonny. After Gio and Emma were caught kissing, Brooke Lynn told them and Cody about Monica, then suggested Outback Live at the QG's. Molly admitted to Alexis that she has feelings for Cody. Britt received a box of medication and a note from C at GH. Anna and Dante reeled over the accident victim, who resembled Nathan. Then a DNA confirmed it's Nathan. Tracy went missing, and the Qs rallied to find her. Jason confided in Britt about losing Monica. Martin called a mystery person to let them know about Monica's funeral. Felicia discovered Nathan at GH, and Anna explained the situation. At a casino in Atlantic City, Lois found Tracy and stalled until Ned could arrive to convince her to come home. Brooke Lynn reunited with her mother. After everyone found out that Curtis was with Jordan, confided in Jordan about her concerns about her parents, while Curtis confided in Marshall, who returned home from tour. Felicia worried about how to tell James his father is alive, just as James told Cody he wishes he was his father. Monica's loved ones gathered at the church for her funeral. Ned, Laura, Jason, and Michael all made speeches about her, while Tracy refused to speak. Drew assured Martin he was going to Monica's funeral, then he shocked everyone when he showed up. After kicking Drew out of the funeral, Tracy finally made a speech about her sister-in-law. Everyone gathered at the Q Mansion and continued remembering Monica. Dante and Brooke Lynn were pleased to see Gio show up, and Gio bonded with Ned. Jason said a final goodbye to his mother. When Tracy headed to the crypt, she was surprised to see a mysterious woman. It's all about Monica's memorial. The standout moment from General Hospital this week has to be Monica's memorial. Let's talk about the best moments from the beautiful tribute to an incredible character. Steve Burton did an amazing job as the grieving son with many regrets regarding the mother he loved. Monica loved Jason unconditionally, but it took him a very long time to accept her. Thankfully, mother and son bonded in the later years and had the relationship Monica always wanted. Jason is mourning the time spent and not spent with his wonderful mom. There was a point in time when no one could have imagined the grief Tracy is now experiencing over losing her sister-in-law. The two formed a real friendship in later years, and Tracy is having a hard time dealing with the loss. From the time she entered and looked at her friend Stella for support, to wheeling Drew out, we felt Tracy's pain. When she finally spoke, after wordless encouragement from Jason, it was honest and beautiful. During any difficult time, it helps to have a little comic relief. At Monica's memorial, it was Lucy, as it always is. Her decision to speak was shocking because she and Monica disliked each other very much. Back in the day, she married Alan in that unforgettable red dress. Of course, he ended up going back to his true love. The expressions on everyone's faces while Lucy spoke were pure gold. Laura, Felicia, and, of course, Tracy were all terrified about what would come out of Lucy's mouth. General Hospital spoilers revealed Jocelyn Joss Jacks has returned to campus life at PCU, while Vaughn has landed a promotion within the WSB. Their intense bond, forged through a life-or-death mission at the Five Poppies Hotel, faces new challenges as Vaughn's elevated role likely makes his WSB status public knowledge. Joss, balancing college and her own covert WSB agent life, might dodge scrutiny from most peers, but Carly Spencer could raise hell with Jack Brennan over Joss dating a WSB operative. Unaware Jack recruited her daughter behind her back. Will Joss and Vaughn's Croatia spark survive these pressures, or will Carly's concerns unravel everything? Vaughn's rise in the WSB ranks, likely earned after surviving Pascal's clutches, means his covert status might not stay secret for long. A promotion could thrust him into the spotlight, with Port Charles gushing about his agent role. Joss, back on campus, keeps her own WSB involvement under wraps, blending into college life with only whispered questions from classmates like Trina Robinson. But if Vaughn's new title leaks, it risks exposing Joss's double life. Fans wonder if this public shift could test their relationship, forcing them to decide, keep it professional or dive deeper into romance. Carly's maternal radar will go haywire if she learns Joss is dating a WSB agent, voicing her worries to Jack about the danger it poses. Unbeknownst to her, Jack's guilt over secretly recruiting Joss for the WSB grows heavier with every word. If Carly presses him, Jack might squirm, fearing she'll uncover his betrayal. The fan base is curious whether Joss will defend Vaughn, claiming she's fine with his job, or if Carly's suspicions push her to dig, risking a blowout when Joss's own role surfaces. This could end Carly's romance with Jack, driving her towards Sonny Corinthos or Jason Morgan. Joss's campus life, studying, dodging questions, clashes with Vaughn's high-profile promotion, testing their Croatia-born chemistry. If they pursue romance, stolen moments could deepen their bond, but WSB rules and Carly's wrath loom large. Fans are brimming with one question: will Joss and Vaughn go public as a power couple, or keep it strictly business to protect their secrets? If Carly confronts Jack, it could force Joss to confess, shaking the Spencer family. Can Joss and Vaughn level up together, or will exposure tear them apart? Share your thoughts with us in the comments below, and keep checking back every day for more GH news and spoilers. General Hospital spoilers say that when it comes to the Quartermaine property, it looks like it's all up in the air right now. That's because there's some speculation suggesting Monica might have left everything to Michael Corinthos. That, or she could have given it to Jason Morgan, or even Drew Quartermaine. That would cause a lot of problems, right? As our loyal readers can imagine, the internet certainly did have a lot to say about the matter. Some even commented with, "Technically, Michael is her only blood. She could leave it to Jason, but in all these years, he doesn't want it. Michael is the logical choice." And Drew saying Monica was my mother too is BS. Monica welcomed him when he first came, but he's not blood. He didn't grow up with her and she owes him nothing. Drew is so narcissistic. Another critic wrote, "I suppose Jason and Michael make sense. Michael is AJ's only heir. The other grandkids would get their inheritance from Jason, Drew, and so unfortunately, Scout should get nothing. Unless Monica leaves something directly to Scout with Jason as her fiduciary or whatever the term is about managing inheritance until she comes of age." And then there was this comment as well. "I hope she gives it to Jason, the one child who is still alive and with whom she had a long, lasting, loving relationship. He's the one person who can handle Tracy, Ned, Olivia, Drew, Willow, and all the others. I hope she appoints Michael as the person who inherits the estate if Jason can't or chooses not to serve." GH fans will simply have to tune in each and every day to find out what will happen next. General Hospital airs weekdays on the ABC network. Check your local listings for times. In the meantime, let us know what you think by leaving us a line with your thoughts in our comments section below. General Hospital spoilers and updates prompt us to question, did a programmed Nathan West actually shoot Drew Cain? Is it possible that Nathan has no recollection of the commands he executed while under brainwashing? During the September 24th episode of GH, Nathan asserted that his last memory was being shot by Cesar Faison, and Anna Devane brought him up to date. When he learned that this happened 7 years ago, he was completely taken aback. A confused Nathan initially pondered whether he had been in a coma. Still, he didn't feel weak, as if he had been confined to a bed for all those years. Just by looking at him, it's evident that Nathan is in great shape and seems to have been quite active. Isaiah Gannon also shared a favorable assessment of Nathan's health. To put it another way, Nathan hasn't been frozen in time for 7 years. Despite his memory loss, it's clear that Nathan has been engaged in activities, like operating the truck that he crashed. If Nathan is being honest, he doesn't remember taking the wheel. So what else might he have forgotten? Is there a possibility that Nathan doesn't recall shooting Drew? The show is certainly looking to unveil a shocking perpetrator regarding who pulled the trigger. Nathan is bound to reach that objective and has the potential to weave elements together to create a significant overarching narrative. It's conceivable that a programmed version of Nathan was engaged in sinister deeds while the genuine Nathan's consciousness lay inactive. Someone with a reason to target Drew might have dispatched Nathan for the task. Gen Z Sidwell alluded to possibly eliminating Drew and is associated with the project that Britt Westbourne has been involved in. Nathan could also be connected to all of this and might have returned to Port Charles earlier than anyone anticipated. Sidwell may have programmed Nathan to pursue Drew, or perhaps another unexpected character gave Nathan the orders. Either way, it would be quite a twist if Nina Reeves and Willow Tate were attempting to dodge charges for something Nathan did. The family ties could introduce a significant surprise. This Nathan plot is bound to get complicated. It will be fascinating to see if programming plays a role and how it connects to the entire Drew Shooter saga. General Hospital spoilers indicate that Nathan might eventually regain some lost memories, so keep an eye out for any major developments that could emerge. Gran is celebrating 30 years in Port Charles. For the last 3 decades, Alexis has graced Port Charles with her sometimes sophisticated, sometimes erratic presence. Now, Her portrayer, Nancy Lee Grahn, is celebrating 30 years on General Hospital in the most iconic way. Grahn has always been known for her bold social media posts, and her latest one is no exception. As September 26th marks her 30th anniversary on GH, Grahn posted a video to mark the amazing ride she's had on the soap. Heading into my 30th year on beloved at General Hospital today and enjoying this amazing ride. Sending love and thanks to the beautiful @GH audience for taking the ride with me. In the video, Grahn is seen holding balloons of the numbers 3 and 0 as she rides up an escalator in several different poses. Grahn's post was met with congratulations from several GH co-stars. "Woohoo! Glad to be with you for more than half, even if you slept with Ned," joked Lisa Locicero, while Yvette Nicole Brown wrote, "What a legacy! Happy 30th anniversary." On the Spencer side, Laura Wright said, "Ha! Congratulations!" While Finn Carr noted, "I spy time steps. Didn't know you were a fellow tap dancer." As for Grahn's TV daughters, Kristen Vaganos said a simple, "Iconic," while Kate Mansi complimented her outfit with, "Wait, Mom, this outfit is to die for. Is it from my closet? It's so me."